Hello everyone, welcome to session 2. In our last session, we discussed about ecosystem and its types. Ecosystem is the structural and functional unit of nature where living organisms interact among themselves and also with the surrounding physical environment. That is, we see a constant interaction between living organisms and non-living things in an ecosystem. There are two types of ecosystem, natural and artificial. Natural ecosystem is further being classified into terrestrial and aquatic ecosystem. Terrestrial ecosystem includes forest, desert, etc. However, aquatic ecosystem is further being categorized into lentic and lotic ecosystem. Artificial ecosystems are the man-made ecosystems. Some of the very good examples for man-made ecosystem include aquarium, crop fields, and gardens. In this session, we shall learn about components of ecosystem. Components of ecosystem. The ecosystem is composed of two components. The two components are biotic component and abiotic component. The term biotic refers to life. So biotic components include all the living organisms. They include all the interdependent populations. For example, plants, animals, insects, bacterial forms, and fungal forms. All these living organisms are put under biotic components. Abiotic components. Abiotic refers to non-living. Biotic means living. Abiotic means non-living. But certainly these components are very much necessary for the living organisms to survive. As we discussed, ecosystem is an interaction between living organisms and non-living components. So living organisms depend on abiotic components. Abiotic components are the non-living components which include sunlight, air, soil, temperature, and water. Types of biotic components. There are three types of biotic components. They include producers, consumers, and decomposers. Producers are those organisms which are capable of preparing their own food. Consumers are those organisms who feed on plants and other animals to obtain their food. Decomposers are those organisms who obtain food by feeding on dead and decaying matter of plants and animals. Producers include green plants, blue-green algae, phytoplanktons, etc. Consumers are of two types, herbivores and carnivores. Herbivores are those animals which basically feed on plants. However, carnivores are those animals which feed on other animals. Decomposers include bacteria, fungi, earthworm, etc. Earthworms are also called as detritivores. Earthworms feed on dead and decaying matter and break down complex substances into simpler substances. These simpler substances are now readily available for bacteria and fungi to decompose further. In this slide, I have also shown a picture of vultures feeding on dead and decaying matter. They come under a group of organisms called as scavengers, which we will be learning shortly. We know that there are three types of biotic components: producers, consumers, and decomposers. Let's learn about producers. All the autotrophs of an ecosystem are called producers. The term autotrophs mean self-producing. That is, these organisms are capable of producing their own food. Since they are capable of producing their own food, they are called as producers. The green plants are the main producers. Producers are generally chlorophyll-bearing organisms which produce their own food by the process of photosynthesis, in which producers absorb solar energy and convert it into chemical energy. Now students, green plants contain a specialized pigment called chlorophyll. This chlorophyll is capable of trapping solar energy. Along with chlorophyll and sunlight, there are certain other abiotic factors that are utilized by plants in order to prepare their food. The overall process is called photosynthesis. Now you can see here, carbon dioxide from atmosphere combines with water that is available from the soil. In the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, within the plant body, glucose is formed and oxygen is released as a byproduct. This explains the overall process of photosynthesis. Now this is the equation of photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide, water in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll produces glucose and release oxygen as a byproduct. The glucose produced in the plant body is further stored within the plant body as starch. So here we are using inorganic nutrients and forming organic nutrients. The main energy that is required is the solar energy, which is utilized or trapped by the producers, and the producers produce organic matter. Producers are classified into two types. They are photoautotrophs and chemoautotrophs. Here, the term photoautotrophs. Photo stands for sunlight. So, photoautotrophs are those producers which basically depend on sunlight to convert carbon dioxide into carbohydrate. However, the term chemoautotrophs indicate that they are dependent on some chemical substances. That is, they do prepare food on their own, but the source of energy is certain inorganic oxidation and reduction reactions. So in other words, in simpler words, if I have to say, they basically depend on chemical substances in order to prepare their food. It could be photoautotrophs or chemoautotrophs. Both of them are the producers because they are capable of producing food on their own. However, photoautotrophs depend on sunlight, chemoautotrophs depend on chemical substances. Transducers. Students, producers are capable of absorbing solar energy and they convert it into chemical energy. Hence, producers are also called transducers or converters because one form of energy is converted into another form of energy. Right? Energy enters into the ecosystem through the producers. We all know that solar energy is the only ultimate source of energy in the ecosystem. But we organisms are not capable of trapping solar energy. So, producers does the work for us. They trap solar energy, convert it into chemical energy, and thus it is available for all the other living organisms. Here are some of the examples of transducers. As I told you earlier, green plants, green algal forms, protists are basically involved in converting solar energy into chemical energy. As we discussed, the conversion of solar energy into chemical energy, that is, one form of energy into another form of energy, are carried out by transducers, and all the producers are transducers. In this slide, green algal forms and protists are some of the smallest transducers which are present in our ecosystem other than plants. In the last slide, we took up examples for transducers like green algae, protists. There are few examples of producers. They are all phototrophic in nature, that is, they are photoautotrophs. Other than photoautotrophs, we have learned that chemoautotrophs are also producers. Only thing is they depend on chemical substances for the preparation of food. In this slide, under the title chemoautotrophs, I have represented 3 different pictures. These 3 different pictures are different examples of chemoautotrophs. The first picture represents green bacteria and the second picture represents sulfur bacteria. The third picture is the picture of root nodules, in which we see the presence of nitrogen fixers. So the nitrogen fixer present in the root nodules are Rhizobium species. Another example for producers, especially when it comes to aquatic ecosystem, are the phytoplanktons. The term phyto stands for plant and planktons mean wanders, that is, who drift or who move. They live in aquatic environments in both fresh as well as marine waters. Phytoplanktons include dinoflagellates, bacteria, protists, green algae, etc. They provide food for a wide range of aquatic creatures like shrimps, snails, jellyfishes, etc. We are through with producers. Now we shall learn about the second type of biotic component called the consumers. Consumers are those organisms which depend on plants or animals for their food. So they are dependent on other organisms to obtain food. That means they are the heterotrophs. So I can say that all the heterotrophs of the ecosystem are known as consumers. Right? There are 2 types of consumers, macro consumers and micro consumers. Macro consumers are also called phagotrophs. The term phago means eating. We've learned phagocytosis. Phago means eating, cytosis means cell. So we use the term as cell eating. So here macro consumers are phagotrophs, that is those organisms who obtain food from others, no doubt, but they obtain food by eating, right? This shows holozoic nutrition. Holozoic nutrition is where organisms eat the food, that is ingest the food, and then digest the food within the body, right? So first ingestion followed by digestion. Macro consumers are further being divided into primary consumers and secondary consumers. Now we have no doubt about consumers that they depend on others for their food. So primary consumers are those organisms which depend on plants for their food. So the organisms who eat plants are called herbivores. Coming on to secondary consumers, the secondary consumer also depends on others for their food, but they are dependent on those organisms who basically eat plants, right? Or I can say they are the carnivores who feed on other animals, flesh eating animals, right? I hope things are clear to all of you. Consumers are of two types, macro and micro consumers. Macro consumers are those organisms who basically feed on other organisms to obtain food. If they are dependent on plants, then they are primary consumers. If they are dependent on other animals, then they are secondary consumers. Now, why we should use this term primary and secondary consumer is primary consumers because they are directly dependent on plant, right? Why secondary consumers? They are dependent on those animals, and those animals are directly dependent on the plants. So the energy transfer is from plants to organism, primary consumer, and those primary consumers are fed by the secondary consumer. So energy transfer is from producer, primary consumer, followed by secondary consumer. Micro consumers include organisms such as scavengers and decomposers, which we will learn shortly. In this slide, I have depicted two different pictures. Consumers are classified as macro and micro consumers. Macro consumers are further being divided into primary consumers and secondary consumers. Primary consumers are those organisms which feed on plants, and secondary consumers are those organisms who feed on primary consumers, right? Now the first picture depicts all the primary consumers. Primary consumers eat plants, so they are all herbivores. You can see a squirrel, you can see elks, you can see these deer, rabbits. All these are herbivorous in nature, that is, they feed on plants. However, in the second picture, I have shown you different animals who come under secondary consumers. That is, they eat herbivores in order to obtain food. Right? We have lion, tiger, whale, and we have crocodiles, which basically are dependent on the primary consumers. They are also called carnivorous animals, or I can say simple words, flesh-eating animals. Primary consumers. Primary consumers are those living organisms which obtain food directly from producers. Herbivores of ecosystem are all primary consumers. Examples, if we have to take, grazing cattle, rabbits are some of the herbivores. In this slide, I have represented three different pictures which are the examples for primary consumers. You can see grazing cattle, then a cute little rabbit relishing the coriander leaves, and the bear eating carrot. This indicates that primary consumers are those which feed on plants directly. Secondary consumers. Secondary consumers are those animals which feed on primary consumers and obtain food. So, in other words, these are those organisms who indirectly depend on plants. Right? I would like to use a new word here as predators. Generally, what happens is these flesh eating animals, that is the carnivores, they kill and eat the herbivores. This process of killing and eating other animal is called predation. Hence, those organisms are called predators. Some of the examples of secondary consumers include snakes, dogs, and cats, and many more. In aquatic ecosystem, whale is a secondary consumer. If we recall, consumers are classified into primary and secondary consumers. We also have tertiary consumers, also called top consumers. Those animals which kill other animals and eat them, but are not killed and eaten by other animals in nature, are called tertiary consumers. In this slide, you can see pictures of man, lion, and peacock. These are those animals who kill and eat other animals, but they are never been killed and eaten by any other animal in nature. So all these are the examples for tertiary consumers. Here I would like to add on one more point. If you observe peacock and man, they come under another group of organisms called as omnivores. That is, they can be primary consumers as well as secondary consumer. In the first picture there, a man is eating a chicken piece. So here in this picture, man is a secondary consumer because he is indirectly dependent on plant. However, in the second picture, if you observe, he is eating a veg burger, so he is a primary consumer. Peacock also feeds on plants, certain seeds and other plant material. Along with that, it also feeds on worms, snakes, etc. Right? So, man and peacock are omnivorous in nature. However, man and peacock are not eaten up by other animals. So, they are also examples for tertiary consumers. The fourth picture depicts lion. Lion is a predator. Right? When lion feeds on a secondary consumer, then lion is a tertiary consumer. Right? There are possibilities wherein lion can also act as a secondary consumer. It basically differs with what kind of food chain are we dealing with. I will give you some more information based on all this when I take up the topic food chain in this chapter. Micro-consumers. Micro-consumers are those living organisms which decompose the dead body of producers and consumers. In our ecosystem, we have a group of organisms who feed on dead and decaying matter directly. They are called scavengers. In this slide, we see animals such as crow, hyena, vultures feeding on dead bodies. On the other hand, we also have a group of organisms who break down complex substances of dead and decaying matter into simpler substances. Here we have represented earthworms. They come under detritivores. They are capable of breaking down complex substances into simpler substances. Now further, these simpler substances are broken down by fungal and bacterial forms. Both scavengers and these decomposers are involved in breakdowning complex substances into simpler substances. But Scavengers are directly feeding on dead and decaying matter, and within their body, the matter is digested. In case of decomposers, especially with respect to fungal and bacterial forms, they have their unique way of undergoing decomposition. That is, these organisms secrete certain extracellular enzymes. And these extracellular enzymes break down the complex substances in the dead and decaying matter and then breaks it down into simpler substances. And these simpler substances are then absorbed by the organisms. I hope things are clear with you with respect to scavengers, how they are involved in decomposition of dead and decaying matter, and how decomposers are, especially the fungal and the bacterial forms, how are they involved in decomposition. So this is about micro consumers. Students, in our ecosystem, we have varieties of organisms. We've already learnt about decomposers, consumers, and producers. We also have set of organisms who basically act as parasites. That is, they live on or in the host and kill the host or cause any kind of damage to the host. Yes, it could be either in plants or it could be animals. We see these types of parasites. So they are feeding on host. Then what kind of biotic components are they? So I thought I will give you some information about these parasites also. These things are something that are extra information for you, could be useful for your entrance exams. So to start with, we have plant parasites. Plants are basically being damaged by different types of organisms. In the first picture, you can see plant being affected by a nematode. Both the pictures, first and the second picture, both of them you can see it is the plant body which has been affected due to certain nematodes, helminths, that is worms. In the third picture, you can see a garden pest, a beetle-like insect which is damaging the plant body. In the fourth picture, you can see a citrus fruit is being spoiled by a bacteria called Xanthomonas. It is very common in citrus fruits. The name of the disease is called citrus canker. Now they are dependent on hosts, right? And the host here is plants. Now, what kind of organisms are these? Consumers or producers or decomposers? Of course, they are consumers. Are they primary consumers or secondary consumers? They are primary consumers because they are dependent on plants, right? Like plant parasites, we also have animal parasites. Those living organisms which are basically living in or on animals. You can see the first two pictures depicts bacterial forms which are present within the animal body. So they feed on the animal body and they derive the nutrients. You can also see a picture of protozoan and a liver fluke, which are also animal parasites, and you can see within the intestine there are tapeworms which are also animal parasites. So they are deriving nutrition from animals. So what kind of consumers are they? Think about it and let me know as and when you see this particular video, either through WhatsApp if you have my number, or at the end I will give you my email ID. You can answer for this question. So we have discussed about various living organisms which act as producers, consumers, under consumers either as primary consumers or secondary consumers, and then as either as scavengers or decomposers in case of micro consumers, right? Now this is something very curious for me to know, that what are insectivorous plants? Insectivorous plants, when I use the term plants itself says that they are producers, but they are also feeding on insects to derive their certain nutrients like nitrogen. Yes, so what do we put them under, consumers or producers? Actually both, producers and consumers. So because they're consuming the insect, we put them under consumers. Then what kind of consumers are they? Are they primary consumers or secondary consumers? Definitely they should be secondary consumers. If you have understood what is primary consumer, what is secondary consumer, and how do we differentiate them, then it is very easy for you to say that insectivorous plants are secondary consumers as they feed on insects in order to derive nutrients such as nitrogen. In this slide, you can see various insectivorous plants. We can see Drosera in the first one. We can see round-leaved sundew, Drosera, pitcher plant, Venus flytrap. All these are some of the examples for insectivorous plants. The second picture, it shows how exactly Venus flytrap is trapping the insect in order to obtain nitrogen. So these plants basically trap the insect, digest the insect, and will derive nutrients. So we are through with all the biotic components of an ecosystem. Now we shall discuss about abiotic components of an ecosystem. Abiotic components include all the non-living components that are existing in an ecosystem. They include inorganic substances or minerals, organic substances, and atmospheric factor. Inorganic substances are phosphorus, sulfur, nitrogen, hydrogen, magnesium, potassium, carbon dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, etc. These are raw materials for plants. That is, minerals such as phosphorus, sulfur, nitrogen, and potassium and all these are available in the soil or through organisms which fix nitrogen from the soil. It is readily available. Carbon dioxide and all these are available from the atmosphere. These inorganic substances will be utilized by the plants, carry out photosynthesis, and they convert these inorganic forms into organic forms. And these organic forms will be stored in the plant body, either in the form of carbohydrates, proteins, or fats. I hope this is clear to you. So inorganic substances are utilized and they are converted into organic substances. So abiotic components include inorganic substances which are the raw materials for the formation of organic substances. So what are organic substances? What comes under organic substances? Carbohydrates, plants, and lipids, right? Make things very clear. Now, plants are taking up the inorganic nutrients from soil, which is an abiotic component, from atmosphere, abiotic component. Sunlight is utilized, it's an abiotic component. Yes, chlorophyll pigment present in the plant body is an abiotic component, right? All these are used and plants are, that is the living organism, is producing the organic matter. Now, the organic matter in the plant body is in the form of plant carbohydrate, plant protein, right? So, if I take plant carbohydrate, glucose is formed, which is stored in the form of starch. When these plants are consumed by the consumers, what happens? There is conversion of organic matter, right? So glucose will be broken down in the animal body and ATP will be released, which will be utilized for their metabolic activities, correct? And then excess will be stored in the form of glycogen. In plant it is stored in the form of starch, in animals it is stored in the form of glycogen with respect to carbohydrate. So there is conversion of organic substances from organism to organism, from plant to animal. Further, in the next slide, we shall discuss about atmospheric factors, which are also abiotic components of an ecosystem. Atmospheric factors. Atmospheric factor is also a part of abiotic component. It includes light, temperature, humidity, rain, gaseous substances, etc. Now, these atmospheric factors and inorganic materials, they together help certain organisms to prepare food. As we understood, plants carry out photosynthesis by directly depending on all the abiotic component available in an ecosystem. So with this we understand how exactly different living organisms interact among themselves and act as producers, consumers and decomposers. Along with that, an interaction is also seen between abiotic component, that is the non-living component, and the living organisms. So the interaction is between biotic components and abiotic components of an ecosystem. With this, we complete components of ecosystem.